Yo, what's going on, guys? And today we got to talk about the Atlanta Hawks, which I told you guys were my potential surprise team for this year. And so far, yeah, I know people are going to be like, well, Ciro, they're a team that's only 3-4 this season, I believe, as we record this video. Yeah, 3-4 after tonight's win over the Pelicans. And I thought that was a solid game. And this is a team that people like ESPN and even my work, Hoops Hype, we ran a poll, and we had them being the 9th seed. And last year they were a play-in team that ended up with the number 1 pick, which is possible because you're still a lottery team if you don't, and if you end up as a play-in team and lose. So they went into the season, people thinking with like DeJounte Murray, but that they weren't going to be that good. But I really think this team has the ingredients to be a lot better than people expect. And I think we're seeing flashes of it. Maybe it's just me being overzealous. I want to hear your thoughts down below in the comment section before we start today's video. And let's get right into it. First off, let's just address like the health of this roster, as they're currently, if you guys weren't watching in today's game, you might have seen, a handful of guys weren't playing. Specifically, the guys who were out: Onyeka was out, Cody Zeller, DeAndre Hunter, and then Seth Lundy's out, as well as Kobe Buffkin, Bogdan, Vit Krejci. Shout out to everyone, Vit Krejci, everyone who taught me how to say that. But still, Zeller's out for personal. Can someone tell me what's going on with Zeller? I haven't really looked too much into that one, but I noticed that's been personal. Either way, Jalen Johnson finally had like the game that we've been all waiting for him to have. Zachary Reese-Shea is just there. Clint Capella had a quietish night. Really, it was the Larry Nance night. He had a really good night. We saw some Keaton Wallace, and dude, Garrison Matthews been having an impact this year. David Roddy came out tonight and was like, hey, maybe you should have picked up my option. I'm kidding. David Roddy, like, as much as I liked him as a prospect, it hasn't really worked out. Dyson Daniels continues to be the defensive stud that he is, and is a most improved player candidate. If not, Jalen Johnson's taking it this year if he keeps taking this step. And obviously, Trae Young had a double-double. So let's just talk about it, and let's just go ahead and look at this and go ahead. Why the Atlanta Hawks are my dark horse surprise team for the 2024-25 season. Hit that like and subscribe button. Despite widespread skepticism, the Atlanta Hawks have the potential to outpace media predictions that pegged them as a mere play-in team this NBA season. With a strategic shift in the roster, Quin Snyder is one of the better coaches in the NBA, and I think they're showing a promising development so far. And the Hawks are poised to surprise many people and analysts. So here's why the Atlanta Hawks deserve attention as a dark horse candidate as we move forward with the NBA season, as we had went into week 3. The Hawks finished last year with a 36-46 record, ranking with the 10th seed, and yeah, they had the number 1 pick in a weak draft class. While their offensive production was really impressive last year with 118 points per game, 5th in the league, their defense was the glaring weakness, has been the glaring weakness, as they gave up 120 points a game, which was the 3rd worst. And their defensive shortcomings ranked, as I said, 3rd worst, and undermined those strong offensive efforts that they had, as their 12th ranked defense was just, not great. 3rd worst opponent's points per game, 4th worst defensive rating, and 12th best offensive rating. Doesn't really give you the math to make it work. Now, this imbalance led to a need for a defensive overhaul and a more cohesive team strategy. Under Quin Snyder, who took over basically a year and a half ago, mid-season, finally, if you guys didn't know this, it takes a full season for Quin Snyder, Mike Conley said in a previous interview when he joined the Utah Jazz, to get his system, because they use a whole totally different verbiage, terminology when doing stuff, super complex offense and system. And now I think they're really showing signs of improvement, particularly in offensive pacing, 5th fastest in the league currently. And these building blocks, I think, are setting the stage for a more disciplined and fundamental approach for this year. And this offseason, we saw them trade DeJounte Murray to recoup some of the assets they gave up to get him, and that led to a lot of people raising eyebrows. But now Dyson Daniels looks like that lockdown perimeter defender that every team that wants to compete in the playoffs needs to have. And as I said before, the recipe that the Hawks always needed, and the one that we saw when they made it to the Eastern Conference Finals, was when they had Solomon Hill, Kevin Huerter, Danilo Gallinari, Cam Reddish, Bogdan's still there, but you get what I'm saying, and all those guys, because he basically had like 6'5", 6'6", and above, all next to Trae Young. And then they started going small for some reason, but now they've gone back, as you guys see, when healthy. Obviously they're even bigger with DeAndre Hunter and Bogdan and Vic Krejci, all the guys who are in there. But Dyson Daniels 6'6", Garrison Matthews like 6'5", David Roddy's like 6'4", thick boy, Zachary Risache like 6'8", 6'9", Jalen Johnson 6'9", Larry Nance 6'9". Like they're tall again, and that's what they needed to do to make up for a small guy like Trae Young. So having Daniels and his defensive tenacity, plus being a secondary playmaker, while Zachary Risache kind of being like this Harrison Barnes, even though I know a lot of people are going to be like, have you seen Zachary Risache's stats? And I'm going to be like, guys, come on. Like, don't rag on the guy. Don't rag on the guy. He had an okay night tonight. I know the shot isn't falling, and it's been a rough 7 games, and he's 8.6 points, 31% from the field, 21% from three rebounds. He's gonna figure it out. He is a decent stroke, so don't worry about that. But I think Larry Nance Jr. has been awesome. As we said, Jalen Johnson's becoming, I think he's gonna be an all-star if he can continue to play at what we've seen after tonight and what we were seeing last year. And then Onyeka Okongwu finally is becoming the guy that we've wanted for so long to become. Jalen right now, 18 points a night, second 29-point game he's had this season. 18 points, almost 10 rebounds a night, 5 assists, 2 steals, a block a night, and he had 16 last year. The shot is starting to fall now. 3-point shot's still a little shaky, but Onyeka is another guy. Like, I was just hoping for the defense and the rebounding and the fouling to stop, but he did all of that plus the scoring's there. He's looking like I know the rebounding, I guess, has taken a step back this season, but I think he'll figure that out. And Larry Nance allows them to play, gives them depth and experience, and allows them to have this like small ball 5. And with the transition to a younger core, as Onyeka Okongwu is kind of taking over for Clint Capella, who's in the final year of his contract, and Clint's a guy who at this point I think he's going to be more than likely either traded or I feel like going somewhere. I would try to parlay him in a way for somebody else so you don't lose him uncompensated. And I think it's just forward thinking. I start slowly, put Onyeka as the main guy like they're kind of doing. Trae Young continues to obviously be the guy who fuels this machine, as their offense is just going, especially with the scoring and playmaking. 27 points, almost 12 assists a night. And he's one of the best, dude. I think it goes like Nikola Jokic and then Trae Young as offensive engines and passing ability and 3-point shooting. And then you have, as I said, the emergence of what looks like to be an all-star in Jalen Johnson. Onyeka Okongwu looking like the defensive inside threat who can guard, basically being like a baby Bam Adebayo. While obviously DeAndre Hunter's hurt, but he's like the Swiss Army knife you're hoping for. Bogdan's kind of like the reliable scoring and off the bench perimeter guy you wanted. Both of them give you good defense. Now, as I've said, I think the coaching impact of Quin Snyder's, whose reputation as a top coach, it cannot be overlooked, with his first full season behind him and now going into his second full season. Snyder has a chance to fully see his philosophies implemented more comprehensively, and we'll see how that approach emphasizes his desire for disciplined play, high efficiency scoring, which will help for more of an offensive defensive disparity that plagued the Hawks last year, and will allow for more of a balance. And again, the younger players are hopefully going to see their potential maximized, while the veterans who have more defined roles will be able to contribute to a more overall cohesive team. Now, the East is tough. You got top dog Celtics, Cavs. You'd think the Knicks and Sixers are there. Orlando's looks good. So to surpass the play-in expectation, the Hawks are obviously going to be needing to focus on the defensive side, where they still rank this season through 7 games 28th, and the early signs of progress are there. And in their hustle stats with players like Dyson Daniels looking like an obvious stud. Plus, he leads the NBA in stocks, and he has like 2.5 steals per game, and is like leading the NBA in deflections. Obviously, consistency was going to be the huge thing here, and I think, looking at the young players that are adjusting to larger roles and they have the new additions, like the Hawks have capacity to play at a high pace, fourth in the league at 103.5, can be something that they can, pair with that, with a disciplined defensive effort team-wise to reduce turnovers. So I think that's a big thing right there. But either way, the Hawks have the talent and the coaching and the depth to outperform that projected playing status. While like a lot of people think this was just a year of transition, I think that was last year. I think this is the beginning of a more competitive era where you're going to see Trae Young leading the way with Jalen Johnson and Onyeka Okongwu emerging, and the addition of these strategic, versatile players like Zachary Ricochet, Dyson Daniels, Larry Nance are going to allow the Hawks to be maybe to disrupt expectations under Quin Snyder's leadership. So I think this year's going to be a surprising one. Let me hear your thoughts in the comment section. That's basically it. Maybe I'm wrong, maybe I'm right, but yeah, that's it. I'm still trying to figure out where the microphone should be. I feel like right here is a good area or something along those lines. I don't know. Bye.